This episode is brought to you by Merrill. Join one of the most iconic names in wealth management, Merrill. You'll be part of a dynamic team of advisors and specialists working hard every day to grow their clients' wealth. And with the support of best-in-class research, advanced digital tools, and the resources of a global institution, it's truly an opportunity you can be bullish about. Learn more at careers.bankofamerica.com. Copyright 2024, Bank of America Corporation.
This episode is brought to you by Global X. Since 2008, Global X ETFs has been committed to empowering investors with unexplored, intelligent solutions. Global X specializes in exchange-traded funds that offer exposure to the artificial intelligence ecosystem, including themes like data centers, robotics, semiconductors, and cloud computing. To learn more about Global X's entire suite of ETFs, from covered calls, fixed income, emerging markets, and more, visit globalxetfs.com.
Good morning, guys, and welcome to the podcast. I've got a fantastic guest for you today, John Casmon, founder of CasmonCapital.com, based out of the Midwest. He's got a fantastic track record in investing in real estate across different deals, and he co-created the Midwest Real Estate Networking Summit. And so I'm really happy to have him on the show to showcase the excellent work that he's doing and talk all things real estate. So, John, welcome.
Absolutely. Hey, thank you for having me today. Excited to be here and share a little bit about my journey with your audience and hopefully help them learn how to take advantage of commercial real estate and multifamily and passive income and all the great things that includes.
Yeah, I really love that. And just diving in, just, briefly talk about Casmon Capital, how you got started, and really excited to dive into the meat of the conversation.
Yeah. So the short story is, I was a guy who was working in corporate America, like many of your listeners. Was making decent money, doing okay. But when I was early in my career, I worked in the automotive industry in Detroit. And I was there when we encountered that first financial crisis back in 2008, 2000. I saw it firsthand, and I was directly impacted with my employer going into a structured bankruptcy. And I watched a lot of my colleagues get let go. So that really sparked me to create another path. And I said, I better figure out a plan B. And real estate became that plan B. But I didn't really know how to do it. So I learned everything I could, read books. I started to attend meetings. I ended up moving to Chicago, and that's when I became an investor. I started with a 2-unit building. So I house hacked it, lived in one unit, rented out the other, bought a 3-unit building. So my wife and I were starting to slowly build our personal portfolio. Then I bought an 8-unit building. And now I see the power, right? Because that 2 unit started to grow up in appreciation, in value. The 3-unit was doing well, cash flowing very nicely. So now I've got this commercial property and I see the pathway for us to grow, but then I faced a big problem. And that was the company I was working for also went into bankruptcy. So while I was trying to build this little portfolio on the side, I was faced with potential job loss a second time. And that made me realize that while I was on the right path with real estate, the strategy that I was using was too slow to insulate me from those potential losses. And that really warmed me up to this idea of working with other people. I started to take action, learning more about it, surrounding myself with folks who were in this space, and ultimately launching Casmon Capital Group. So today we work with everyday professionals who have day jobs, who want to get all the perks of real estate investing without the headaches of being a landlord themselves. So we work with those individuals. We've invested over $140 million worth of apartments. And our mission is really to help those people get financial freedom, or at least to get a little bit more financial flexibility so they can take more control over their life.
Yeah, I love that. And really, because it was highlighted because I used to be, at one point I was like, I'm going to put 100% of my net worth into real estate. And luckily I didn't, because I see the problems with tenants, toilets, and trash, climate change, it's really a high maintenance asset. And part of it was because the strategy I was using as a landlord wasn't helping me to get ahead that much faster. It was slow. So talk about this idea of how can you build real estate wealth passively and slowly, but still keep up? Because obviously landlord is, quite honestly, it's shit work. So talk about the strategies that can set you ahead faster.
Yeah, listen, we know real estate works, right? How many people have you encountered that have made a lot of money, millions, retired, right? Achieved financial freedom, and they attribute it to real estate. So we know real estate investing works. That's not the problem. The challenge that your average person is going to encounter is, do they want to be a landlord? Do they have the means, the patience, the ability to do that and to grind it out? Like you said, dealing with tenants, dealing with toilets, termites, all these issues that arise with managing real estate, personalities, job loss. Like, these are real people at the end of the day. A lot of times we think about real estate in this vacuum of Excel spreadsheets, and it's just, you're going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to paint this unit, and oh, I'm going to make $300 more a month. And it sounds great on paper and in theory. And yes, you could do it, but anyone who's actually managed real estate when it comes to construction, managing contractors, painters, carpenters, dealing with the city, dealing with inspectors, like, these are all issues that you have to deal with, right? That's even before you get a resident in there. That resident may not care about your property the way you care about it. So they're going to live very differently. They're not going to tell you that, hey, we've had this leak or we had bad bugs or these issues, or whatever the case may be, until it's too late. And now what could have been a small problem that could have been fixed for maybe $100 becomes a really big issue that you now have to spend thousands of dollars to fix. So for most people, it's hard to really make that kind of money and make that life-changing trajectory when you're buying smaller properties, right? You're buying a single family house, you're buying a 2-unit building. At any moment, you can have one big expense that wipes out your profits, not just for 1 year, but for 2 or 3 years, right? If you have a roof that goes bad, that's like an entire year or two worth of profits. These are the challenges that many people face. So the flip side of that coin is investing in larger deals. And with larger deals, you get the potential for more passive income. You get the predictability, or I should say, stability of what comes with something larger. And think of it this way. If I have 1 unit, that unit is either occupied or vacant, period. Those are the only 2 options. Someone lives there or no one lives there. If I have 100 units, the likelihood that it's 100% occupied or 100% vacant is a little fewer in between. More than likely, I'm going to be somewhere between 85 to 95%, typically 90 to 95% occupied. So if I have that range, I can now predict the income that I'm going to have. And by predict, I'm projecting just like any other business, right? So I have a general sense of where we should be from an income standpoint. I have a general sense of where I should be with my expenses, how many units on average we're turning a month. And I can run it like a business. We can analyze, we can predict. We know that there's certain things that are going to come up every single month. And it's not this guessing game. When you have 1 unit, you don't have to do anything sometimes, right? Like, you got 3 months where you haven't even been to the property. You have received no phone calls. Everything is great. This is truly passive income, right? It's amazing. But then that 4th month, you get that phone call, right? The water heater went out. And guess what? This is wrong. And by the way, I'm breaking my lease. I got to move to China. And so now you're sitting, oh, crap. I went from having nothing to do to I have a part-time job that I've got to go over here and tackle. And that's really hard for a lot of people. I know when I had my 2-unit, I felt like every time my wife and I were going to go take a little trip or go on vacation, I got a phone call that the day we left, right? We're at the airport. I'm going to call, hey, the heat stopped working. Hey, this is going on. Hey, and it stressed me out. I almost didn't even want a vacation because I knew I was going to get that call, right? And the whole time I'm out on vacation or wherever I was at, I just was panicking, right? My anxiety started to kick in because I'm like, what's going to happen? I hope they don't call. I hope we don't have an issue, right? And that's really hard. When you're in commercial and you're in these larger properties, even on the active side, I don't have that same level of anxiety because we have a team in place. We have enough income and revenue coming through that I can operate it, run it like a real business because it is, right? So it's not this thing where it's me trying to make a little side money, right? And it's really being run like a hustle or a side project. It really is run like a business. And that makes it so much easier for your everyday professionals because they can invest in businesses. It's really hard to invest in a side hustle.
And you said it so well because, like I said, we're talking is you don't make much money as a small, like, mom and pop investor, like a landlord. But if you're like a developer or commercial or a syndicator or multifamily, all these bigger projects, and talk about the power of synergy and collaboration. Because the last guest before you, she was also a real estate investor, and she was talking about how she could scale her operations with other people and, bigger deals, because obviously real estate it's a high barrier to entry. So talk about the power of collaborations and other people.
Yeah, you'll hear people say all the time that this is a team sport, and it's absolutely true. And even when I heard people say that, I don't think I really internalized it. right? It just sounded like jargon, like a cool little cliche catchphrase thing to say. This is a team sport. But when you really process it, it is absolutely true. And what they're trying to say is there is no one that you will see who owns 100 units and up who has done it all by themselves. Even if they have all the money to go out there and renovate units, to lease all the units, to go through all the contracts, to invest all of the capital, to do all the due diligence. No one does this by themselves. Now, it doesn't mean that they don't have 100% equity, but beyond that, the point is you need a team, whether those are employees, whether those are partners, whether those are just other individuals. You need people, right? So when you approach it from that standpoint, you're not responsible for 100% of the work. When you have a house, you have one rental, maybe you are doing all the work because there's not enough profit to pay that maintenance guy or to pay that leasing agent. So you decide, hey, I'm going to have to show this unit. I'm going to have to lease it out myself. I'm going to be the property manager. Maybe that's the case because you only have one unit. But when you have a 100 unit building, you can absolutely scale it up because you can hire out people. You can partner with other people. You can raise capital and pool those resources together. And now you can start to build on those blocks. Beyond that, you can leverage the skills that you have, the things you do well, and go bring in other folks who have complementary skills. So now you can really work together and partner. Again, when you have a single family house or a small rental, you don't have enough profit potential to share that. If you're making $300 a month on a rental, which is pretty good for most rentals, to split that with somebody else and only make $150 a month, what's your real business plan? What's your goal if $150 a month is going to get you there? For most of us, an extra $150 a month isn't going to make a big difference. However, if you're trying to reach financial freedom, if you're trying to maximize your time and have greater experiences, you have to think bigger. So it's not going to be from a house. Certainly the equity is there, but if you are trading time for money, that's just going to be a situation where you can't win. And the fallacy that so many investors fall for is that by buying a property, that they are investing in real estate. The truth of the matter is, if you are self-managing, you're doing all the work yourself, yes, you're building equity, but you're building sweat equity. And it's really because you have a part-time job. You're probably not tracking the hours you're spending on your part-time job and offsetting that based on the actual investment. And if you looked at that, you would be really disappointed with your true returns because you could go get a part-time job anywhere else making 10, 12, 15 bucks an hour. And then you take that time you put into it. You can hire somebody else to do some of the things that you may be doing on a weekend basis or evening basis. And that's the hard part about investing is you really have to take a look inside to say, how much time and energy do I actually want to spend? Or do I just want to invest my capital and get a return? If you just want the return, there are strategies that you can leverage to invest passively. You mentioned syndications as one, but investing in a strategy like that, it's going to be more beneficial for most people who truly don't enjoy the work and don't want to be a landlord. Because if you don't want to be a landlord and you get faced with a bad tenant, that is absolutely going to sour your experience and you're going to think real estate itself is the problem.
Yeah. And it's so well said because it's like I said, I love how you talk to the audience and, think bigger and just expand your horizons. And, that's one of the things that, my wife was trying to get me because for a long time I was thinking really small and just these small single apartments and homes. And it was basically just sucking away my time and energy. I could be doing other things, building a business and more productive things. So really, I love how you use commercial real estate interest rates. We love to get you on a further podcast. How can people find you if people are interested in hearing how they can leverage up their real estate skills and, scale up their operations? How can they reach out to you and find you and work with you?
Yeah, what I've found is people are typically intrigued about the ability to make passive income or maybe even raise capital and partner with others on their deals, but they don't really know how to do it or where to start. And sometimes starting with a live opportunity is just overwhelming. So what may be a better starting place is to take a look at a sample deal and learn what to look for, learn how to ask better questions. And that's going to get you more prepared for investing and really for you to get a sense of whether or not this is something you want to do. So we have a sample deal package available on our website. If you go to casmoncapital.com/sample deal, you can download that there. We also have a podcast that's dedicated to multifamily investing. So you can check out Multifamily Insights anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this. And you're the first person that's really elucidated that these traditional mom and pop landlord shops is going to build a side hustle, side income, but it's not going to get you wealthy short term. And so I really enjoyed this conversation and keep up the great work.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, I think it comes down to this. You have to find a strategy that's right for you. I know a lot of people who make money buying a bunch of 2 and 3 unit properties, and that's great. But they wake up and now they have 20 units. They have kids. They got stuff they want to do. They have no idea how they want to manage it. So now they want to sell it all off and it becomes a tax issue. So you just have to really think through and be honest with yourself. Do you want to build a real estate portfolio, be a landlord, or do you just want to take advantage of this investing asset for your own personal needs? And if you want to just take advantage of the asset, investing with groups like ours, other folks that do syndications, that is a great way to earn passive income. So you should look more into it and see if it's right for you.